Hey guys, welcome back to Mini Urban Farm. This is a channel about gardening and homesteading, and today we're gonna have just kind of like a casual laid-back conversation, and it's not the prettiest topic, but it's definitely a topic that needs to be spoken about, especially right now, which is how do we combat the ever-rising prices and make ourselves and our home and our family more prepared for dealing with this all. Because I don't know if you've noticed lately, but every time I go to the grocery store, things are so much more expensive and they just keep going up and up and up. And that's from anything from like dog food to shampoo to the groceries, like for food, everything seems to just be getting significantly more expensive. So today I am going to be sharing my list of things on how I am getting more prepared, how my family is getting more prepared now and in the very near future, specific concrete ways that we are actually doing this, and ideas for how you guys can do the same thing. If you have others that I am not doing or I'm not listing, don't forget to drop them in the comments below so that everybody can learn and benefit from them. Anybody who's watching this video, they probably want to know whatever other ideas you have as well. And I'm in a lot of like these Facebook groups for homesteading and gardening, and this question comes up a lot. Like, what are additional skills that I can learn for homesteading, right? Because we're always looking to expand our skill set. So I definitely have also some blog posts on miniurbanfarm.com, and I will drop those in the description box as well. Things like forgotten homestead skills, things like ways that you can homestead in the suburbs or in the city, where to actually pick up new homesteading skills, like where do you actually learn these things. All of that, I will also drop those links in the description below. So I will say that this is not going to be any sort of political video for whatever anyone's political views are. I tend to not get into politics in general. It's not my favorite topic. But if you watch the news at all, which I really don't, but it's been on a couple of times because my family watches it and we live with my family now while the dream home is being built, and the news is on sometimes. And it just seems like they're always talking about the rising prices. And, that's not to say it's not political. It's definitely political, I'm sure. But for right now, I'm going to just focus on how we're actually managing it here. So number one is to grow your own food, right? And if you have a garden and you watch this channel, you can see my garden back there. It runs from one side of the fence all the way over there in the corner where you can't see it. Grow more food. And I'm not talking about just growing a tea garden or a cocktail garden, which I definitely think everybody should, but I'm talking about grow the kind of food that you can harvest and put on the table as a dish, a side dish, that you can preserve for later. For example, we have green beans, we have tomatoes. Tomatoes are great because it's pasta sauce, and you can put them on bread and it can be an entire sandwich by itself. Just something substantial. So grow more crops, whether you have enough space to grow corn or you have just a little bit of space and you can grow bush beans. You can grow so much food in a small amount of space. I'm growing in 60 square feet. That's all. My previous garden was 450 square feet and we grew all of our own food. This is 60 square feet and we're not growing all of our own vegetables, but we are definitely getting a good harvest in order to put in the freezer and use for the table on a regular basis. So start out by really doing your research on which types of vegetables grow well in your area, the types of things that flourish. Make sure that you're getting disease-resistant varieties, you're getting things that grow well if the temperature changes, whatever is specific to your hardiness zone, and grow those things. Buy those types of seeds, stock up on those types of seeds, and then grow those things specifically. One of the ways that I will be doing that this season is I am going to plant out more densely. So one of the concessions of living here with family while the dream home is being built is that we don't have a lot of gardening space and we have a lot of yard. So I am gardening only in that space really, some over on the food forest on the new property, but really the majority of our actual garden is here. So the main thing I'm doing is planting out more densely. For example, with our bush beans, the first couple years I grew bush beans, I grew 9 bush beans per square foot. Now, you can go anywhere between 4 per square foot to 9 per square foot, 9 definitely being on the heavy side. What I saw with the 9 per square foot is that you get a little bit more disease, you get a little bit more pests, right, because there's not as much ventilation. However, you also get a lot more food. So this season, right, I planted out 6 per square foot, which is still a pretty decent amount, right? We are getting food from it, but next season coming up, right now starting, I am going to be planting out at 9 per square foot again, and just make sure that I am maybe thinning or, adding in some organic I don't want to call them pesticide, but organic measures to actually control pests and disease and that sort of thing. You will have to baby them a little bit more, which applies to anything really if it's planted out more densely, but you will get so much more food. I'm going to be ripping up the things that are not doing well. I'm going to be ripping up the things that, you know, are duplicative. So we have tons and tons of parsley. I intercropped everything with parsley, especially the tomatoes, because it really does cut down on pests on the tomato plants. And so I will probably be getting rid of my little parsley patch. It's like 4 square feet of parsley, and if we're getting parsley from other, you know, other plants around here, then I really don't need that much. So I will be doing the things that I can actually put on the table the most. That is step 1, grow the things that you can actually eat and save for later, whether that's by canning, dehydrating, freezing. Mainly we do freezing here, and then just buy those seeds and plant that out densely. And along those same lines, this is a great time to learn how to can, learn how to dehydrate, learn how to preserve your own food for later, and make it a goal to plant extra out so that you can preserve for later. And in case there's shortages at the grocery store, or for some reason green beans go up to like $10 a pound or something, you still have, you know, your reserves at home. Alright, so the second way that we are getting ready for this and preparing for this and making sure that we have enough food on our homestead is by raising more chicks this year. And it was one of our 2022 goals to raise more chickens for meat and expand our flock. And we were originally going to wait until it got a little bit warmer here in order to start doing that, because essentially when it came down to it, butchering chickens in the middle of July is not a very fun experience. We did that last year and it just wasn't something that we really wanted to do again, and we butcher our chickens at about 5 months. So we have a flock of Plymouth Barred Rock. They are a heritage breed of chicken. They do really well on eggs. Today I went to collect eggs and I had like 19 eggs today. And every day we're getting at least 9 or 10 eggs from our 11 hens, even though it is like in the 50s right now and it's dropping to like the mid-30s at night. So that is still pretty good. We go to collect eggs over on our property every other day. So I collect 2 days worth of eggs. Today we got 19 eggs, which means that we got almost 10 eggs per day from our 11 hens. We have 2 roosters for a total of 13. So we are drastically going to be increasing the numbers of chickens that we have. Chickens are great because they are dual purpose, right? You get meat from them, you get eggs. We take our fertilized eggs. They're the same eggs that we actually eat. We just take them I think every 6 months we're planning on doing now, and put them in an incubator. So they have been in the incubator for the past 3 weeks and they hatched out 2 days ago. There's still maybe like 2 or 3 left that are, you know, in process of hatching right now as we speak. But we will be butchering out meat chickens, and then again in July I will collect our eggs and do the same thing again. And from here on out we will be definitely putting meat, more chicken meat in our freezer going forward. So in the past I have sold off extra chicks that, you know, extra chicks that we haven't really wanted to have around or use or whatever, but to be honest, everything from now on is going in the freezer to save for later and to be used as meat on our own homestead. The same thing applies to our quail. So one of the main things that I've noticed in the past couple months is that dog food. Dog food is going up exponentially. We have a rather large dog. His name is Milo. He is about 105, 108 pounds, depending on the week. But he eats a lot of food, and I usually buy him organic dog feed, which is even more expensive. And so he requires a lot of money to keep fed. I have started feeding him eggs, sweet potato, and things that I can grow myself, as well as we will be feeding him quail. Now, the first time we got quail, that was also the plan. Now we have quail again. We have predator-proofed everything. We made it a point to predator-proof, so we are not experiencing those kind of animal losses this year. And the quail will be mostly for Milo's dog food, and you know, we'll use it for ourselves as well, and the eggs and all that, but we are going to be supplementing heavily Milo's like store-bought dog food because it is getting expensive. So if you don't have chickens or quail, or if you have chickens or quail and you have other animals, it would be the same thing. I would encourage you to, you know, breed out more piglets, or, you know, have more whatever it is type of animal that you have on your homestead. Originally I was planning on adding, you know, ducks and turkey and all that stuff, but seeing as the dream home is in progress and there's gonna be a lot of construction in that area, we are gonna stick to what's already on the property, instead of building out more infrastructure and more coops and all that stuff. So whatever type of animal that you have, have, hatch out those chick eggs, you know, breed out more pigs, whatever it is, just to ensure that you have food for your family if the grocery store does not. Alright, so next up on the list is composting. And I know that this doesn't sound like something that you would normally count on this list of preparing your home for, you know, shortages and all that, but hear me out. Composting is expensive. Compost is expensive, which makes composting so important. And I get tons of questions on Instagram, on this channel, on how you kitchen compost, right? Which is what I do. I think back there in the corner somewhere is our compost bin. It is like the style of compost bin that just kind of tumbles around. I take my little food bin and I put all my food scraps in there, you know, my kitchen scraps that don't go to the chickens, more like green stuff, and we get compost. So I usually don't have to buy compost for seed starting, for amending the garden, that sort of thing. And so if that's something that, you know, you are buying from the store, it is so easy to make your own at home. And that right there is our new worm bin. So I'm really excited. I know I've been talking a couple times on this channel about how we're gonna get worms. The worm bin is finally set up, ready to go. It's not gonna live in the middle of the yard there. It's gonna be moved somewhere else. I just have to actually move it when it stops raining. But we set up our worm bin earlier this week, and it has been doing really, really well. So food scraps like vegetables and clippings from the garden, eggshells, things like that are going in that bin. They do not require that much food. The majority of our food scraps go to the chickens or to the compost bin, usually to the chickens now, but also, you know, to the worm bin has been significantly, it's definitely a game changer moving forward. So make your own compost. It's so easy. If you're not doing it, you know, just try it out. I didn't know anything about composting when I first got started, and now I have tons and tons and tons of compost, and I really put no attention to it. So make your own compost. Okay, next up is one of my personal goals this year. I have been doing this a little bit more and more throughout the last year or 2 years or so, but saving your own seeds for later. I mean, I have tons of stuff that I'm growing. I have so many varieties of the garden, and I probably seed save about a third of them, maybe half of them, but seed saving is super easy and it doesn't cost anything, and then you don't have to buy seeds for next year. So the reason I say this is because, one, you get free seeds, and that's always a plus, but also in the past 2 years or so, I have experienced that I go online to buy my seeds and they're out of the varieties I want, or they're out of a whole bunch of varieties, or they have limited availability, or they take forever to get here and they get lost in the mail, or whatever it is. So by growing your food, which you're already doing, save those seeds, take the seeds out of them, put them aside, dry them, you know, whatever it is. Most seeds you can just kind of like leave them to dry, or even just plant out, you know, a tomato will grow from another tomato. So seed save, learn to seed save. It's as simple as doing an easy search online, just how do I seed save beans? How do I seed save tomatoes? And you'll get all the information. Just put them in little plastic baggies or little cardboard baggies or whatever it is you want to do, but save more seeds this year. One of the major things that we're doing this year is actually to build out our food forest earlier. So if you guys have been following this channel, you know that we have a food forest. It is a property that we bought that is currently being built, right? Our dream home is being built on that property, which is why we live with family right now, after we sold our last house. And so that space, we have a 7,000 area, 7,000 square foot area allocated to our food forest. Right now we have several fruit trees planted. We have mango, we have guayaba, we have guanabana, we have bananas. We have a whole bunch of things planted out on that property. And at first, what I was going to do was to start planting out those fruit trees, those, you know, canopy or sub-canopy layers. And then after that, plant out the bushes and, you know, the other species that go under the fruit trees, things like ground cover, things like root crops, stuff like that. That was originally my plan. But of course now, because, you know, I'm noticing, and a lot of people are noticing, how expensive things are getting, how limited supply of things, you know, we're just deciding to move forward with it on hyper speed. So one of the considerations of that is that plants are expensive, especially for a food forest, which are more like survival crop type gardening, right? It's not just like tomatoes and pole beans. If I'm getting things that grow as a forest, those things get expensive fast. So I've been doing a lot of research online on how to propagate, you know, cassava, or how to propagate mulberry trees, or whatever it is, you know, to have the things that I have on hand, maybe buy one plant and cut it out, propagate it, and then you have 10. But one of the main things that we're doing is go ahead and get started with that layer all at once actually. So it is just going to end up being a hot mess in the meantime, but that's okay, because as long as those crops are there, we can make it pretty afterward. We can put in the different layers, we can prune it back, but at least they're in the ground and we're able to harvest from it sooner rather than later. Okay, and so the last thing that I would count on this list of getting ready and getting prepared, and I'm not like super huge on preparedness, but I think it's just a good idea nowadays to make sure you're prepared and taken care of, you know, your family has a good food supply, whatever it is. The last thing is to learn as many homesteading skills as possible, whether that is starting a garden for the first time, planting out a food forest. Since I started doing my food forest videos, I have had so many people reach out and say that they're also looking to start a food forest, or they're looking to buy land and they don't know what to do to start a food forest. Whatever those new skills are, soap making, vermicomposting, regular composting, whatever those skills are, you know, look up new skills and dedicate a month per skill, or learn them at your own pace, whatever it is. But now is the perfect time to start getting into new things where you wouldn't have otherwise considered, because, you know, you have everything you need. Now is the time. All right, a few of my things this year on that list are vermicomposting, right? That compost bin there. So one checked off the list. Growing mushrooms is another one on my list. I have never ventured into growing mushrooms, but this year I think is the year I'm going to be doing that. The next one on my list is feeding our animals for reduced amounts, right? So this isn't necessarily a skill, but it kind of is, in the sense like we buy food from Tractor Supply, right? If that food source goes away, or if it gets to like $50 a bag or something crazy like that, then how are we going to feed our animals? So over the past 6 months or so, I have been experimenting with new ways to feed our chickens, and it is going very well. We've been getting so many more eggs than I ever thought I would on this method, and yeah, we're just able to add that to our repertoire in case of anything. So learn new skills, whatever it is that you're curious about, go and look them up. We have an entire post on, you know, forgotten homesteading skills. We have another one on homesteading skills in the suburbs. I have another post on, you know, just finding, where do you find new skills? How do you learn these new skills? A lot of this is on YouTube that I've managed to learn new skills. I will leave all of those linked below. But whatever it is that you've been curious about, now is the time to act on those hobbies. Alright guys, so this has been just a super casual chat, definitely something to take seriously. Like I have, you know, now is the time to get on it. If you have other ones, feel free and please drop them in the comments below, because I know that I would love to add some more skills to my bucket list, and I know a lot of other people are looking for those type of skills. I get those kind of questions all the time. If you like this channel, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!